Please get ready for well, hello, well, hello. If you in the building, take the box right now. Let's go. We got hella smoke on deck. That's on a. We be acting now. Say it with your chest. Come and get some clout. Always keep it up. They wanna know who we are. They wanna know. They wanna know who we are. We the models. 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 Well, hello. If you here, please take the box. Real ones know what's up. It's time to get role model fresh. It's time to get role model fresh. It's time to get role model fresh. Well, hello. If you are here, please take the box. Positivity. I just wanna live my dream. Gotta make this free. Smoking on some. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you got any love to give, now's the time to send it. Thank you for the love. Big M's in the comments. We doing it big, never left. We doing it big, never stress. We doing it big. We're the models up in the place. We the models, 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 we the models. Real ones know what's up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome for the second half of exclusive interview, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest for y'all, and they go by the name of Well Hello. So give her a moment to take the box. I think we got her in the box, y'all. I think we already have her in the box. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for the one we call Hello.
And how's
What's up,
everybody
Well Hello?
doing? Thank you for having me.
We doing good. Thank you for doing the show, agreeing to do the show.
Anytime,
I really
boss. How you
appreciate
doing?
that.
The last guy was wonderful, by the way. I listened to his story. I think he's wonderful, and I just wanted to say thank you for your service, sir.
Big facts, big
Yeah.
facts. Yeah, shout out to General Freezy. All right, so let's get right into it. Well, hello, get
Okay.
comfortable.
I've got some coffee for this.
All right,
I'm
so
ready. Ready.
good, good. So take us to what we like to start off with. What brought you on the app? What made you download this app? What
Yeah.
state of mind were you in?
So during that time, I was a very new. I had just moved to a new area, and I didn't know anybody at all. And I was kind of starting fresh, new out of a relationship, so I wanted to kind of meet some friends around the area, meet maybe a spouse. Uh, I had downloaded POF before, like a long time ago, and it never had the streaming part. And yeah, I don't know if I lived under a rock or something, but like I didn't know nothing about streaming. Like I had no idea. I had no idea about streaming. So I downloaded the app to meet people, and to possibly meet a spouse in the new area, and maybe, any friends in a new area too as well. Mhm.
Got you. So you downloaded the app. Now,
No,
no one
no,
told you
ma'am.
about the app.
Nobody told me about anything. I literally downloaded this like wanting to give it a go for maybe like some online dating or someone in the area. I literally had no friends. I had no friends in the area. I was far away from my family, so it's just really about building, like social connections, locally. Yeah.
Gotcha. So apparently where you was living at, you didn't
Mm.
really know no one. Would you say you were like feeling lonely?
A little lonely, yeah, I would say that. I mean, I didn't have anybody in the area. I didn't have family in the area. I didn't know the area. Like I had just moved here because it was like affordable living kind of thing. And then I had to go to school out here. So it was super new. I was kind of hoping I could maybe meet somebody that tour around town and kind of show me around
Right.
and see what happens.
And did, and did you do that?
No, not at all.
And how long
I didn't
ago
do
did you
none of that. I
download
wish
the app?
I did. Oh my Jesus. It was probably in 2019, like the end of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So around the time when COVID it was about to shut everything down.
Yes, that was really huge. It was around that time.
Okay. So let's take us to the beginning. Who is Well Hello?
Like how
You
far
had
back you want
to
to
describe
go.
you had to describe yourself. Who are you?
So just to give you guys a little bit of my background, before the app, um, I am born and raised in Chicago, South Side, if you want to be specific. It was not a very good area, but my parents are immigrants and they came here with absolutely nothing. They were running from the war that was going on overseas in their area. So when they came here, again, they came here with nothing. And so I am first generation, born here in the US. And so my parents, along the way, when they married very quickly. And they are now married for what, like 42 years now? I think they're hitting like 42 years. Um, but they're both Middle Eastern. I'm Palestinian Christian. So I do believe in God. It's very unique actually because there's only about 5% of my nationality that believes that is Christian rather than Muslim. But we're still out there and we exist. And so yeah, so my parents, they got married and then they had a couple of siblings before me and then they had me. And then about 5 years after that, they had my little sister. And growing up, we didn't have much. We didn't have a lot at all. We grew up very poor, but poor and happy, if that makes sense. We had all the necessities. My clothes were from Goodwill and Kmart layaway, and that was it. I had never, I have Adidas on now, but I've never owned Adidas, Nike, anything name brand. We didn't even buy name brand food, we just didn't have it. Um, but my mom worked, kind of dead end jobs, cashier, supermarket, things like that. Nothing crazy. But her main purpose in life was to be a mother, and that's what she did. My father's role was my dad had went off into the military because he had no other options. My dad didn't know English very well. He didn't have an education. He didn't have any role models to really kind of look up to. And so the Marines came through, and you know how the Marines, they set up at the school. So then they recruited my dad from his school. And so my dad was 17 when he joined the Marines. And then when he got out of the Marines, that's when he met my mother, and they got married in 30 days. Yes, ma'am. We don't wait. Yeah, we don't wait. Arabs, we marry fast. We marry fast. So my
30
wait, love
days. He's
story. Okay,
now
this is a love story. So my dad, asked for my mom's hand in marriage. And when she was like 18, I think 19, something like that, 18. And then they told her, my parents told her, or my grandparents told him that she was too young. She still needs to finish whatever she needs to finish at the house. And he's like, okay, whatever. So then my dad went to the military some more, and he came back, and on like a 2-week leave kind of thing. He went to my, I don't know, someone's wedding or whatever, and then seen my mom and didn't say anything to her, but he knew that she was the one. And he walked up to my grandfather and pulled him aside and was like, I'm back. I want to marry your daughter. And then that started the process. And then eventually they were married. Because in our culture, it's very different than the regular traditional American wedding. There's a process to it. You have to get the permission of the father. Once you get the permission of the father, if that even happens, then you bring your parents, and then they end up being the mom, and then the parents agree on it. Once the parents agree on it, the family's got to agree on it. So then you got to bring your aunts and your cousins and everybody and their mother over the house. And then they bring everybody out and their mother over the house. And then they agree on it. Once they agree on it, then the man, which is my father, goes up to the mom, which is my mom, and presents himself to her and says, hey, I'd like to marry you. I'd like to, be your husband. They talked for, I don't know, maybe like an hour or two, and then they were married 30 days later.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
So let's thank you guys. Thank you guys for the lovely gifts. So let's take it back a little bit. Wow, that process is crazy.
Yes.
So he locked eyes on her.
Yes.
Knew she was the one. Had to go through the meeting of the family and stuff like that. Now, was there any moment where?
Oh yeah. So they told my dad no, but the grandfather told my dad no at first. They told her no, not only because of her age and she was too young, she had things to do, but they didn't like, respectfully, they didn't like how he was a part of the American military. So because we're overseas, they're immigrants, and we're from the Middle East. Respectfully, especially, during 9/11, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of discrimination, things of that nature. So, being in the American military was very challenging for my father, because it was like, it was kind of like, what are you doing killing your own people kind of thing. And so there was a lot of back and forth. And then my dad was like, look, I really love your daughter. Thank you, Jimmy.
Feel the same way though.
I'm sorry.
Was your mom fighting?
My mom never knew. My mom never knew this was going on in the background. My mom did not know. My mom did not know about the proposal and about the offer until all the families, the grandfather, and everybody agreed on it. Then she got approached and said, hey, this man would like your hand in marriage. He's a good suitor. He comes from a good family, and then they met and sat down. But she had no idea this was going on in the background. She had no idea. Yeah.
Got you. Have you ever asked your mom when she's seen him, like, was she instantly attracted to him?
Or my dad was my mom's first kiss. Yeah.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's first person she lost her virginity to. And I mean, now that we're adults, I talk to my mom. I talk to her more as like a woman to woman rather than like a daughter to a mother. So I asked her some uncomfortable things about the relationship that maybe, like a daughter would not ask their mother, but my mom is my best friend. My mom has turned into my best friend. So I'm going to ask her about all that uncomfortable stuff. So, but he came from a good family. They got a good personality, very kind of simple-minded. He had his stuff together, more than any other suitor that had approached her. And so she said, yeah.
So so now let's go into you being born. Okay. Any siblings?
I do have siblings. So they had, once they got married, my mom got pregnant right away. And she gave birth 9 months later after they got married. And they celebrated their 1 year honeymoon, like 1 year anniversary, with like a 2 month old. Yeah. So my brother was at the picture. My brother's in the picture of like their first anniversary, like as husband and wife. Like my brother's in there. Like my brother was brand new born. Yeah. So I have an older
Yeah.
brother. So my whole family's military. My whole family's military. My brother ended up joining the army. So did my sister. My sister's husband is military. And then I was the third born. I'm the middle child. I'm the forgotten one. That's what they. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And then I was the youngest for a long time. And then 5 years later, my little sister was born. And then that just changed the game. After that, my mom tied her tubes. You know.
She,
But she got
no
four of them.
more.
That's enough.
I can't
She
do
got
this.
4 of them. So
say
well, to be
your
honest
daddy
with
don't
you,
miss.
4 is really low compared to what my parents came from. My dad came from one of 13. My mom came from one of 9. Yeah.
Wow.
So for them to have 4 kids, my grandmothers were like shooting for more. She was like, "Come on, I had 9 of them. You could do it."
Oh gosh. Gosh.
Yeah, but my mom was like, "It's over with. Like, unless you feel like paying for this kid, it's over with." You know what I mean? Like, we're running out of funds. You know?
So you be the third
Yeah.
well, the second youngest, I should say, or the
Yeah.
third oldest, right? What were some of your struggles?
Being the middle child. Growing up, I had a lot of struggles because, my parents, they tried to do good, but we didn't have much. We didn't have much. And I was very ambitious as a child. I still am. Very ambitious. I always wanted to do multiple things. I always wanted to join gymnastics. I was super good at it. Um, I always wanted to join like singing competitions and things like that because I'm really good at that. And I was never able to join. I always wanted to join like the volleyball team, things like that, but we just didn't have the money. So a lot of times, a lot
Right.
of the things that I learned over time have been self-taught. So like all the gymnastics moves that I know, it's because I learned them myself. I would videotape, remember when we had VHSs? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd videotape the
Yeah.
gymnastics
Yeah.
competitions. And then I would go in my backyard, and it wasn't a big one, it was a tiny one because we grew up in an apartment building. But I just went in the backyard and I just kept flipping. I just kept flipping until I learned how to do the tricks, until I learned how to do the moves. That was like a big thing for me, is that I always wanted to get involved in school, but I was never able to get involved. Um, and then if there was a big culture thing too, because culturally, they were very old school. They were very old school. They didn't believe in like women getting their education, things like that. They wanted women to get married, have babies, whatever. So like suitors started coming up to me when I was like 17. My parents were trying to show me suitors and stuff when I was like a senior in high school, and I kept telling them no. But my brother was able to join baseball. I think he had like a little kiddie baseball team he was on. My sister was able to join basketball in high school, but it's because she paid for it, even though it went against my dad's wishes. And I just stayed in my lane, if that makes sense.
And what was your
I,
lane?
I didn't try to challenge my parents too much because I knew I'd get my ass beat.
Gotcha.
Respectfully, they never abused me, but they did discipline me. Yeah.
Gotcha. So so you decided to whatever they wanted you to do, you did.
For the most part, until I became like 17, 18. Yeah. And when
Gotcha.
I moved out. And then when
And tell us when they first tried to find a
I was
suitor for you.
17.
You were 17.
Oh
How
man,
did
it was
that
the
go?
funniest
Like,
thing, bro. I came home from school, dog. came home from school. My parents are sitting there at the table so serious. And they're just looking at me. And my dad got these big eyes. Like I got big eyes. I got my dad's eyes. And he just looks at me, staring at me. And I'm like, what, man? Like, what's going on? What's about to pop off? You know, something's about what happened. And they're like, well, hello, sit down. I'm like, okay, what's going on? You know? And then I swear to God, dude, it was like a business deal, like they see on The Godfather. They slid me a picture of this dude. Okay, I swear to God, they slid me a picture of this dude, and then they showed me all the gifts he brought. So, like when you ask for your hand in marriage, you bring gifts. You bring jewelry, candy, flowers, clothes. Like you bring gifts for the girl. So then they showed me this picture, and they gave me his very brief background. You know, he's in the military, and he's this old, and he's from here, and he lives here, and all this stuff. And I looked at them and I'm like, are you crazy? I said no immediately. And it was a fight. Because, you know, going up to the other parents and my parents having to tell their parents no, it's like kind of embarrassing, you know, like, oh, do you think my son's not good enough for your daughter type thing? So it was an argument. It was a huge argument. And I became a little rebellious, you know, because I wanted to find love on my own. What they didn't know at the time is that I had a boyfriend, and I had a boyfriend all throughout high school for 3.5 years. I had one boyfriend all throughout high school. I graduated early, so that's why my high school was only 3.5 years, because I graduated early. I took extra classes to graduate early. And I was with him the entire time. And they didn't know that. They didn't find out about him till for a while. But, you know, I had a boyfriend at the time. And I believed, you know, I didn't really believe in like arranged kind of marriages, things like that. I believed in trying to find love on your own, trying to find love in your own conscience, you know, trying to find somebody that truly loves you and respects you for who you are. So I wanted to find love naturally. And then that caused a lot of rift between me and my parents, because they didn't like it. They wanted me to get married. After high school, I wanted to go to college. That was my main thing. I've always been a big education girl. I've always been really good in school. I've always been on honor roll. I was always good in it. So I wanted to pursue my education, and they did not want me to pursue my education. They wanted me to get married. And that's kind of what led me to move out of the house.
Got you.
Moved out / kicked out.
Ooh. And how old were you at this
I was
age?
18.
You was 18. All right, so we're gonna bring you back just a tad bit. Tell me a bit about your schooling, okay?
I hated high school.
Because were you born?
I was born in
Born in
America,
America?
south side of Chicago, University of Chicago Hospital.
So, I know you didn't really have much of anything and stuff like that. What allowed you to know that you guys didn't have it like that? Like when you went to school?
So I got bullied a lot in school. And not like a lot, but it wasn't even because I lived in a bad area. There was a lot of people that didn't have much. I didn't live in a very well-off area. It was, you know, I lived on the south side of Chicago, so not a lot of people had money over there. You know, so when people were, you know, like in my school, for instance, like we had uniforms, for instance, right? We had uniforms. So we had to wear the white tee with the collar. You know, we had to wear the white tee with the collar, and then we had to wear baby blue pants. And so, because my family was very conservative, a lot of girls would wear like bell bottoms. You remember bell bottoms, right? They were like spandex and then like big on the bottom, you know? My mom didn't like that. She's like, no, you're showing too much. So I wore Dickies. I don't know if y'all remember I don't know if y'all remember Dickies. I don't know y'all remember. We going back. But I wore Dickies. I wore nothing but Dickies. I had like 10 pairs of Dickies, bro. 10 pairs of Dickies pants. They were black and navy blue. And I switched them out. In school. Yeah, I switched them out in school.
Wait, so switched them out. You would switch into those bell bottom
No,
stand up.
no, no. I never got a chance to buy them. I never had. Oh no, my mom would check all my purchases. She would take me to the store. I'd buy my clothes, and or she would buy them. And she bought everything. I had no way to money to be able to buy the clothes that I wanted to buy. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I just
Yes.
yeah. If you see my old pictures, like I can't bust them out now because they're minors. Obviously, we can't show minors on TV. But yeah, I got my hair slicked back in a bun. You know what I mean? Like that slick back look, and I got a collared white tee with some Dickies on, and I wore that stuff for like 10 years.
Listen, I'm at my mother's house right now, so I'm in the perfect house to show you some baby pics of
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
We on
right.
vacation, man. Um, so, so I'm
Yeah,
loving this so far. So,
yeah,
so now tell me a moment in high school. I'm in
yeah.
elementary school that shaped you. What was a moment where when you look back, you're like, yeah, that moment right there defined who I am right now.
Um,
Whether it be negative or
so
positive.
there was a lot of positives and negatives. Some of the positives were more on the educational side. So there was a couple of pieces that I wrote in seventh grade that got published in the Chicago newspaper. There was like a children's books that I had published back in the day too as well. Things like that. I mean, I always succeeded when it came to education. When it came to my personal life, though, there was an instance that I remember in like seventh grade when 9/11 happened. And it was just horrendous. I got very much bullied. My family got harassed. My house got um, my house got tagged on. I don't know you know what I mean with tagged with spray paint, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It got tagged on, things like that.
What was it that they
Arab killer.
tagged on it?
Yeah. And my poor father. Now listen, my dad. I feel so bad for my father. Listen. So they put Arab killer all over my garage, right? They spray painted it, and they
Mm.
TP'd our house. And then my dad, my poor father, he like chipped off a little piece of the garage paint, and then took it to Home Depot to try to match the paint so he can cover it. And I guess they messed it up by like a shade, maybe like a shade or two, you know. And he didn't notice, my poor father. And then he went and he painted the whole garage over again manually by himself. And it just he didn't even paint the whole thing. He just painted where they tagged it, which was like the whole middle section of the garage door.
Weird.
Yeah, bro. So it looked like stripes. It was just like a light beige, dark beige, light beige, dark beige.
Damn.
My poor dad. And we didn't even get rid of that. We didn't that spot on our garage, and it was big as hell. That spot on the garage stayed there until we ended up moving out of the house. Like we didn't move. We moved. We moved shortly after that. Yeah.
Got you. Now, safety reasons, was that something he wanted to do or was planning to do anyway, or was it because of the
So our
the mess
house
that
got
was
shot
going
at.
on?
That's why we left. Yeah. So our house got shot at. There was
Right.
there was a lot of
Happening.
gang violence in my area. On top of the discrimination and the racism that was going on during the time, there was a lot of gang violence in my area.
Right.
So the Kings, I don't know if I could even say all this right now, but there was a certain group or whatever that ruled my area. We lived two houses down from him, because he was like on the corner house and we lived three houses, into the block. um so there was gang violence that happened, and they shot at the car that was parked in front of my house, and my house caught a stray bullet. Sorry, she's muted. Yeah, but my house caught a stray bullet. Um, and the guy that got shot died in front of my house. So then we had a huge memorial on my front lawn. And my dad put the house up a sale. The house sold in 7 days, in a week. And we moved. We got out of there.
Wait, so the home that you guys was living in, y'all owned it?
Yeah, we owned it.
So what? Because you stated you guys were poor, but you was able to, when y'all got out here, y'all was able to afford to
I mean,
buy a home.
this was years later. I was maybe like I was like 8 at this time when my parents bought their first house, you know? Until
Okay.
then we lived with my grandmother for a long time in the apartment building.
Got you.
My,
And they say,
my grandparents when they moved here, they didn't have any credit or anything like that. So my dad and all of the brothers, because my dad comes from like a really big family. So my dad and the brothers ended up buying the apartment complex and then put the whole family in it. So my mother was on top, we were on the
mm,
middle, my uncle was on the bottom. And then when my uncle moved out, my aunt moved in. And when we moved out, my other aunt moved in. And it was just our apartment building for the whole life until my grandparents passed away. Yeah. So then when
got
we
you.
moved out, that's when my
Take
parents
me,
bought their first house in the south side of Chicago. Before that, I was on the north side. Yeah.
got you. Which area would you say is better,
Um,
south side or north side?
to be honest with you, both sides that I lived in were really bad. It wasn't that good. I mean, the old neighborhood on the north side that I used to live into, that Jules on the corner got shot at. You know what I mean? Later on in life, so there was a lot of instances where it wasn't a bad, it wasn't a good area no matter where I lived in. I didn't live in the rich side of the north side. The north side can be
Got,
the north side of Chicago can be sometimes speculated as like the rich side of the area, but I back in the day it was not like that. Maybe
right.
if you like Riverside, if you went to like up north, but I wasn't over there. Like I was on Diversey, like it was, and
Got,
ain't nothing good happened on Diversey, bro.
got you. So,
So and then when they bought their first house, that's when I moved to the south side. And then we got out of there. I was like 7, 8 years old or whatever when they bought their first house. And
mhm.
we left when I was like 12. Maybe like 12, 13 is when we left Chicago. We got out of there
take
because of that gang violence.
take us to junior high school now. You're leaving elementary, going into junior high school. What was what was the some of your highlights in junior high school?
In high school, I didn't go
Junior
to middle
high school,
school. Well,
middle
I did for
school.
a year. I went to 8th grade there, and that was it. I didn't graduate with the people I went to elementary school with. Funny thing is that when the same year that we left, two of my other friends ended up moving too, and we all ended up moving to the same area unknowingly. So when I walked into 8th grade, my first couple of days, and I walk in a gym class, and I look to my left, and I see my girl Melissa, and I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, yeah, bitch, I moved too. I'm like, really? Where are you at? I'm right there. Oh shit. And then I go to lunch and I see my other boy. And I'm like, Don, what are you doing here? He's like, yeah, dog, we moved. He's like, that shooting affected all of us because it got known around the school. The guy that died in front of my house was in our gym class. And so then they ended up sending out a letter to all the parents.
So it was a young kid that died.
Yeah, we was 12. He was like 12.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like 12. He
Shooting
got
next to him?
killed in front of my house.
Was the shooting meant for
No,
him?
actually, no. It was meant for the guy next to him. It was meant for the guy next to him, but he ended up catching a bullet. So he ended up internally bleeding. They caught him on his side. They caught him on his side, and it cut his rib cage, and then his rib cage shattered, and then it went all over his body, and then he died in front of my house. Yeah, it wasn't cute.
Got you.
It wasn't good at all.
So now you realize you in school
Yeah,
with two of your peoples that went to
I
your
was
other
so happy.
school and stuff in the
I
area.
was so happy
How did that
because when
feel?
I moved to an area, I moved to the burbs, I moved to the burbs. And then where they moved me to, we had to jump on a school bus. And I'm like, wait, you guys got school buses out here? What is this? Because I'd never been on a school bus before. So I was like, what is this? So then like it was weird. And then to get to our high school or to even like our middle school, we had to pass a couple of like cornfields and shit. And then like I found a cricket one time in my basement. I'm like, what is And there was no squirrels. There was no squirrels. I was like, where's all the squirrels? Did they kill them off over here in the suburbs? Like, I was young. I didn't know what to think, you know. I didn't know, but I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in at all. At this time, it was there was a lot of girls that were very, like, at that time they called them preppy, you know, like very preppy, Aeropostale, Hollister. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, I never shopped at those stores. I never had any of those. Right, same.
Stores because they never had my size. My breast was out here, y'all. So
I swear to God,
I couldn't stand
so like
it.
when I came in, the only pieces of clothing that I really had. So when I went to my new school, there was no uniform. But you guys got to remember, I had nothing but white tees and Dickies. So when I showed up to school, I wore my white tee and my Dickies. You know what I'm saying? And they looked at me crazy. They looked at me wild. They're like, "Oh, you're ghetto. You're poor. You can't afford Aeropostale." And I'm like, "If you don't." So then the second day of school, I got into a fight. I got into a fight with this white girl. I got into a fight with this girl because she thought I was talking shit about her. And I'm like, bro, it's my third day in. I don't know none of y'all. And she's like, well, I heard you called me a prep. And I'm like, I don't know what a prep is, but you probably are it. You probably are it. Prove me wrong.
You said prove me wrong?
Yes, I did. Yeah, we got into a fight right there in the cafeteria. It was like her and all her little hoe friends.
Who won?
I did.
You beat her up. Anybody jump in?
No, they all sat there like fucking scared. It was me and the head leader, this girl Melissa. Later on in life, I found out Melissa was a prostitute, but we'll just miss that. We'll just dismiss that. But yeah, she got caught up for prostitution in the hotel in Naperville. But you know, it's kind of funny to see how people turn out in life. I will say that it's kind of funny to see how they turn out in life. But yeah, no, I won that fight. We both got suspended.
Trying to do all this extra shit. Watch your biggest revenge is when you level the fuck up, and they still just make sure you're doing better than them.
Funny thing is that after I fought them, they invited me to their friend group, and we all started hanging out.
Yeah, because they seen you was strong.
I hung out with them for maybe like 3 years after that, all the way up until almost junior year.
So you became a prep?
No, because I never shopped at those stores because I didn't have the money to. So I didn't have the money. I was like the broke cool friend in the group. Yeah, I was like the broke cool friend from the city type of shit.
Did they? Let me ask you this: Did they invite you over to events like that where you go into the events?
I would go to their houses and stuff, like, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really like, I had like a curfew as a child. My parents were not very trustworthy of other people, didn't trust other people.
Right.
So a lot of times, like, I wasn't allowed to sleep over houses. I never had a sleepover. I just didn't really have a lot that people usually do with their friends. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't go to the movies. My mom would not drive us to the mall. She's like, go over there, have your fun, and get your ass back home. And that's what it was. I had to be home before the lights were out. You know, and you know, back in the day, what is that, like 7:00? We get out of school by like 3, couple of hours just to shit and giggle, and then I had to be at the house to cook and clean. That was my main priority, was to cook and clean.
So you had to be at the house to cook. Meanwhile, you're the third oldest. What was the dynamics in the house when you got? So growing up, what was the dynamics between you and your siblings?
My brother was always a troublemaker. You know, he was always a troublemaker. He was always in fucking trouble, always getting suspended, always doing some dumb shit. Always. So like a lot of attention was on him to keep him on the right path and out of jail. And then my sister,
right,
my older sister, fair warning, you think I'm a bitch sometimes? My older sister a bigger bitch than me, and she about this tall. She about that tall for me. She about that tall for me. She's short. I'm 5'4",
How
5'3",
tall?
5. Yeah, my older
Oh my
sister's probably like
God. So
5
she's
feet
five.
max. 5 feet max, maybe 4'11". She's probably like 4'11". But she was
Got
always a business type of woman. So she learned from my brother's mistakes. She's seen how much my brother was a fuck up. And excuse my language. Is this featured?
no. You good?
Okay. So she knew how much my brother was a fuck up. So then she stayed on the straight and narrow for the most part. It was a good thing that we moved out of Chicago because right around that time she got involved with a gentleman that was not a very good influence on her life. And my brother started getting involved with people that weren't good influences. And then I was like 12 years old, so the time was coming for me to get involved in some bad shit too. So it was like perfect timing that we moved out of the area. So my everybody got away from it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my brother was still the troublemaker even in the burbs. And my sister was always had her shit together. She was always working. She was always providing for herself, doing her thing. I mean, she was a good kid. She was a good girl growing up. And then me, I just kind of did
What
my
age?
own thing. I took care of my dad. I took care of the family, and I took care of my little sister. You know,
What age were you when you got your first boyfriend?
I went out with him when I was 13, all the way up to 17.
Okay. And when you say, was it somebody you met in school?
It was somebody that I met in Chicago. And then when I ended up moving to the burbs, oh, he's so cute. When I ended up moving to the burbs, we stayed in the talking phase, and then we made it like official. And then he didn't have a license at the time. I didn't really date the most greatest guys, I'm just saying. But he didn't really have a license at the time. And so he would take a cab all the way to the burbs just to see me, and then take a cab all the way back twice a week. Yeah, because I couldn't drive until I was 16. And then when I was 16 and I got my first car, that's when I was driving to the city back and forth when I got off of school. I'd go to the city, I'd drive an hour to the city, I'd see my man for an hour, maybe hour and a half, and I drove back home before the lights were off because my mom would lock the door. I wasn't able to get inside the house after that. Mm-hmm.
And this was your very first boyfriend. So tell us how you met.
I don't
Like,
even,
tell us the
man, I
whole
don't even
story of how
remember,
y'all met.
to be honest with you. I don't even remember. I do remember that we connected off of poetry because I'm a really big writer. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I'm a big writer. And at that time, um, I was doing a lot of poetry. And I think I met him through a friend. But I don't even remember where we met, to be honest. But he wrote poetry too. He was very big into poetry and writing and realism and things like that. And we just kind of grew up together pretty much. We just kind of grew up together over the years. High school was he taught me how to drive, you know, and then I crashed his car like the day before I got my license. Yeah, I crashed his shit, man. I crashed his car, bro. He didn't even have money to buy a new one for a while. Yeah, but yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But like I said, we kind of grew up together. It was a different dynamic. Um, he was
Yeah. Parents,
Mexican and Cuban.
that y'all was together.
No,
Did your parents know y'all was together?
not at all. That's why when I was 17, they started sending me suitors. Hey, hey, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about this guy? Because before,
How many
probably like
suitors
eight
did
at
they
least,
send you?
if not 10. Every
And
single
you
one
was
of them.
like,
To
hell
every
no
one of
to
them.
all of them.
Every one of them. Even now, even in the last couple of years, they gave me some suitors. They were like, well, what about this guy? I want that guy. Yeah. So
Do you think
it's a
your parents
common,
just want to see you married
I
and
feel
have
like it's a
kids?
common parent thing. You just want to see your kid taken care of, before you die. You just want to make sure that they're in good hands before they pass. And I think that's what the common thought process of it was, to be honest with you. Looking back at it now, my dad just wanted me to be able to be okay, you know?
Is, is your parents still alive?
Yes, both of them. Both of them.
Okay. Okay. You said looking back. Have you ever had that conversation with them? Like, hey, I'm happy just the way it is, or I don't need a suitor.
At that time, it was like, again, I lived under their house, and so it was like their house, their rules kind of thing until I moved out. And then when I moved out, that's when they stopped offering me suitors because, I'm on my own. They could see that I could do it on my own. So it was over the years, they have changed their mindset a lot. So a lot, because before it was very traditional. Women are not supposed to go to school. They're supposed to have babies and get married. But you have to understand, this is what they came from. This is all this is all that they know. My
Right.
mom barely
Right.
graduated high school. My dad got his GED. They didn't know about, they didn't, it was never brought up to get your higher education or to go to college or to become that CEO or do any of that. It was do what you got to do, right? Because you have to pass high school or get your GED or something. But after that, you need to get married, and I always wanted to go to school and find love naturally. you know it was just a different dynamic. Now they're like, I don't care who you marry. Okay, you're good, you're situated. They're super proud of me. Their mindset has completely changed now. If you ask them what the requirements of like a woman is, they'll tell you it's to be able to be morally and ethically, good, I should say, and to just be smart, take care of yourself, get your education, and take care of your family. That's what my mom would tell me now. She says at this point, she'll tell me straight up, you don't even need a man, because you don't, respectfully. She'll straight up tell me you don't need a man. So she's a lot more modern now than they were when they first entered the US,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you are you proud of the changes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I'll tell you what, my sister ended up breaking the barrier. She was the one that broke the barrier first. She, um, she broke the traditional barrier. She was the first one to get married in our family, my older sister. When I was six, when I was,
Married suitor,
she
married
chose.
to
She
someone
chose
she
him.
chose.
Because they offered her suitors as well, and she said no. And when I was 14, I think I was like a sophomore in high school. My brother went off to the military, so he left the house right at 18. He was gone. And then 2 years later, my maybe like a year and a half later, something like that, my sister moved out. She went off to the military right at 18. She was gone. So from like 16 on, it was just, and at this time my mom worked. My mom actually had a job, she had a career, things like that. Things had changed. Um, and so I had to, like I said, I had to come home and I had to cook and clean and take care of my little sister after I see my little boyfriend and do homework type shit. And
Gotcha.
that was it.
Why do you think your family was so gun ho on leaving immediately, like the moment they turned 17, 18?
Well, my parents were very strict growing up. The things that we wanted to do, we kind of couldn't do. So people wanted to live their own lives. And we were average. We didn't have any, my parents didn't have any college money saved up for us. They didn't have anything to give us. It was, you're 18, you're on your own. I have no, I've done what I had to do as a parent, you know what I mean, kind of thing, and it was over with. So they didn't really have a lot of options. My older sister was not very good at school like I was. And my brother, he needed discipline, respectfully. My brother needed discipline way more than my father could offer. So he needed structure in his life. So it's a very good thing that they went off to the military, because my sister found her husband there. Yeah, yeah.
God.
Um, so um, so my sister was the first one to join the military as a woman in our family, in our entire generations of family. So that caused a huge war in our household, at our church, in our family, with our aunts, uncles, grandparents, all of that. It caused a huge war. We went into a family feud for almost like 5 years because of it. they didn't like how she went off to the military. They didn't care about my brother. In our culture, it's a lot of like, they
Right.
don't really
But
care about what the
in
men do, but they care about what the women do. So when my brother went off to the military, it wasn't a big deal. They were like, well, he needs to do something with his life. But when my sister went off to the military, it was a huge deal because she was the first girl coming from a traditional family of, the military is a man's job, right? What they kept asking us, even at the church, they kept asking us, well, you must be bad parents because she ended up running away from your house. And it's like, no, she has a 4-year college degree now. She's got her master's. She met her husband. She's got 2 beautiful kids. I mean, honestly, the military was the best thing to happen to her. And now they see it. All the family, they shut their mouth now. They don't say shit. They don't say a damn thing to her. My sister makes 6 figures easily by herself. So nobody says anything to my sister now. But she was the first one to break the barrier. If she did not break the traditional molds of what a woman is supposed to do, I probably would have married off. I probably would have been married off by now, having like seven kids type stuff, if it wasn't for her.
right.
She went through the war with my parents in order to change their mindset. Not now, respectfully, um not only was she the first person to get married untraditionally, right, by choosing her love, but she also brought home somebody that was outside of the culture. So a lot of the times when you're raised with that type of family, they want you to stick within the culture. They say
Mhm.
that it's easier to maintain. There's a lot of things that you can't explain to other cultures of what we do, things like that. um but she was the first one to bring home a person that was outside of our culture. And they fought for 3 days before they got married. She introduced him to my dad as a friend. And then the second time that we seen him, which was actually the first time that I met him, he came home to get permission from my parents to marry my sister. And their quick story, I'll make it short and quick. My sister and my brother-in-law got deployed to Iraq during the war of Iraq when it first happened. And so, shit was haywire out there. On the way to Iraq, he proposed to her on the plane. Yeah. So then they went. When they went over there, she had a ring on, right? But nobody minded it. They were at the same base, different locations on the base. And then they got 2-week R&R, which is rest and relax, which is like they let them go home for 2 weeks for the holidays and then come back. When she came home around Christmas time, she came home with him. And I'm like, oh, it's about to go down. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah,
It's
shit's
just
about
gonna
to
be
go
me
down.
next.
So, and it did, man. It did for like 3 days, bro. Remember, they only had 2 weeks, right? So 3 days, they fought my parents. Man. This man, and the grace of God, I praise him for not going off on my parents, but my parents straight up told him, no, I don't like you. You're outside of the culture. You're not going to treat my daughter right. I don't trust you. I don't know your family, because family is a huge thing. If you come from a good family, it gives you a good reputation. We didn't know his family. We had no idea who he was. And so it was a different mentality. So he spent 3 days pretty much arguing with them and then trying to make them feel secure that it's okay that he marries, my sister. And on the 4th day, they woke up, they sat in the garage, and they was like, look. And again, I praise him for doing this because my parents would have said no regardless. But he straight up looked at my parents and was like, look, I'm going to marry her whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to marry your daughter. But the only reason I'm here asking you for permission is because she wanted me to. Okay? I'm here because of her. Okay? Not because of you, because of her. Now, regardless, I'm going to marry her. Whether you like it or not, whether I get your blessing or not, we're getting married tomorrow. So you're either going to come to our tomorrow. Yeah, they got married in the courthouse. They got married at the courthouse. So she said, look, this has already been planned out before we even came into town. So regardless, I'm going to marry her or not, with or without your blessing. So either you're going to show up to our wedding tomorrow at the courthouse or you're not. And next week is our honeymoon. And then we go back to Iraq. So you're either going to get involved with it, right, or you're going to get cut out of her life. Which one do you want, kind of thing? And then that's when my parents were like, damn. Oh, okay. Maybe he could take care of my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And they let it slide. They let it slide and they got married. They got married the next day. We all showed up to the courthouse and then they went right to Iraq. Like spent a week in Chicago as like a little honeymoon and then went right to Iraq. And so then it was
you.
I'm sorry?
What about you? What's your relationship status right now?
I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship on and off for the last 10 years.
On and off for the last 10 years. Okay. Have your parents met them?
My parents are well aware of who he is, and I try not to bring him too much on the app or bring up my relationship status too much on the app, but I do let my people know and my fans and my viewers and stuff know that I am in a relationship, and I try to keep it respectful.
Got you.
Yeah.
Do your parents like him?
Yeah, they like him. I mean, they want him to step up a little more than he's doing right now, but they like him. They know I'm in good hands. Yeah.
So why hasn't he proposed yet?
I don't want to get too much into this. I don't want to get too much into this, to be honest. I'm sorry.
Okay. So is that something you want?
I'd love to be married to him again. So, and it's hopefully coming up in the future.
You said again.
I was married to him. We divorced.
Got you.
So again, in Middle Eastern culture, we kind of marry fast. And I married a very Americanized man. And although he was very acceptive of the culture, it was just, we were young and kind of very different and learning how to communicate. And there was a lot of things that happened in the marriage that was like right off the bat. Like as soon as I got married, I found out I had all these health conditions and it was very traumatizing on our marriage. And it was just a lot to handle. And it ended up in divorce.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How soon after that did you guys start working it out and getting back together?
Probably like a year. We got divorced and we were separated for like a year. And then we kind of been kind of on and off, mostly on, but we have taken a couple of breaks. Yeah.
Gotcha. In the midst of those breaks, have you ever decided to look into seeing other people?
I have seen other people. Nothing serious came out of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nothing serious came out of it, but I have seen other people. But honestly, not really. To be honest with you, I just kind of wanted to enjoy my time. You know, this was around the time, you know, when I moved to that new area. I just got out of that relationship. I was just divorced. It was like a month after I moved to that new area, and I didn't know nobody, so I jumped on POF, and that's when I started streaming. It was right after divorce. And then we got together eventually, got back together. Yeah.
Do you have
no kids? No.
It's something you want.
I always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to be a mom. And it's to me, I think it's, you know, I could do anything in life personally, but for me, I think being a mother would be the greatest accomplishment. You know, it's very unfortunate, but I'm very open with my stream. When I got married, I collapsed at the office. I was working at this office job and I collapsed at the office because of excruciating pain. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I can't walk. I can't do anything. Like I can't even get up. And I was on the floor in the office. It was so embarrassing. So they took me to the emergency room. And then that's when I got diagnosed with severe endometriosis, stage 4. And endometriosis causes infertility issues, and it
Mm.
was very devastating. Um, they ended up finding a like softball size fibroid that was in my stomach, that was like sitting on top of my uterus, that I never knew about. It was literally the size of a softball. Like, I never knew about it. I had been telling the doctors for a long time that, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in pain. I'm in pain all the time, all the fucking time. I'd walk, I'd sit, I'd shit. I'm in pain. I'm in fucking pain. And nobody believed me, bro. Nobody believed me. And it was like a health disparity of being a woman. Nobody believed me. They say, oh, you're just being a woman. Oh, it's just your period. Oh, it's part of being a lady. You know what I mean? And it wasn't. And finally, I should have sued my last doctor, because I went back to her. She could have easily sent me to an OBGYN all these years that I complained, but she didn't, you know? And so I fell through the cracks. By the time they found it, it was too late. It was just too late. So I'd had that thing, but because the doctor said that that was the biggest fibroid that he's ever found in somebody's body, especially at the age that I was. And they said it possibly had been growing in my body for the last 10 years, and we just didn't know about it. So I had surgery.
Mm.
I collapsed at the office. About a week and a half later, I had emergency surgery, and they took out that fibroid. But they also took out 6 other fibroids the size of golf balls that they found all over my stomach. They also took out my left ovary and my left fallopian tube. And so I found this happened like a month after I got married. So while I'm trying to change my name and combine bank accounts and get used to my role as a wife, and just trying to kind of acclimate to all of these changes, it was a huge hit on our marriage, because he always wanted to be a father and he always wanted to have kids. And to find out that, I was kind of the issue in all of this, it was very devastating. It was very devastating. Um, it was very devastating. But I tell people about this. Now, I've gotten made fun of on the stream about this. I have, because trolls are assholes. Oh yeah, trolls are assholes.
Oh,
So,
most
but I
definitely.
stay open to the topic because it's uncomfortably common. And I didn't know how common it was until I started talking to people about it, until I opened up about it to people on the stream, to people in real life. The girl that was giving me my ultrasound has endometriosis. And I was like, wait, what? You got it too? She's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And it was just so eye-opening. It was so
It made
eye-opening,
you
bro,
feel.
man, because I felt like I was alone, dog. I felt like I was so alone in my struggles of 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 my identity as a woman. You know what I mean? Oh, what's a woman if she can't have kids type of deal is what my mentality was. Because if you grow up in a traditional family like I grew up, right? The sole the
Yeah,
sole purpose is
American
to have
dream.
children, get married, have, you know what I mean, and do all this stuff, be a mother. And for a long time, they told me after my surgery, they told me you're not going to be able to have kids. And again, this was during our first year of marriage, and I fell into a huge depression, huge depression. Um, you know, and it ultimately led to our divorce. you know. And then I moved, and I started streaming. I started streaming. Um,
What does he think about you streaming now?
um, he's supportive. He supports the stream. He's very supportive of it. In fact, we were hanging out with you guys the other day when I was live. We were smoking and hanging out with the viewers and stuff like that. He was joking around with them and stuff. So he enjoys the stream. Um,
Right.
he doesn't like all the shit that I've gotten from it though. He doesn't appreciate all the bullying, all the harassment from Justin. He doesn't appreciate all of the foul language that I got because I have endometriosis, how people were talking shit to me, telling me I have a dead wound, or I have an unfunctional uterus, or I'm a half a woman, or he doesn't like the bad side. You know, the emotional damage that people do on this app, the trolling that people do on this app, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that, you know, because he would never say anything. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't like it. And I'm not saying the man is perfect. The man has went on the app himself and spoken all kinds of shit about me. You know what I mean? This is when we were separated. Um, but he doesn't like the bad side of it. Like even with some of the drama, you know, sometimes I'll be gossiping with him. I'm like, oh, you know what happened today? This bitch and that bitch and this and they, you know, you know, and then he's like, yo, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me. You know what I mean?
So, what is your plan, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to
But I'll
Exclusive.
say one more thing though. I'll say
Um, you could start lining up in the in the box if you have questions, or begin to start typing them in just a few seconds. Remember to copy and paste them so we can see them and we can make it a whole lot quicker. And you said you
yeah,
wanted to say
because he's
something else. Go
supportive
ahead.
because of a couple of things. And I'll tell you this because it's, you know, this is a dating app, right? It's advertised as a dating app, right? When you're in a relationship, you know, a lot of people come here regardless for love, for socialization, for a community, you know. Um, and he's supportive of me being a streamer because the simple fact is I lay down the law in my stream. I don't let people call me out of my name. I don't let them call me boo, honey, boo, thang, love bug. I don't let pet names happen. I do not talk to these people outside of the app respectfully. I do not do phone calls with them. I do not give out my Snapchat. I I don't. I keep it stream and that's it. You know, once I close this app, it's back to real life kind of thing. And I'm very firm on my boundaries too. You know, I don't let the diamonds just because you threw me a mill diamonds doesn't mean you could be my little sneaky link. You know what I'm saying? Like very stern on my boundaries, and so that's why he respects it. That's why he's like, look, I'm not worried about her. I'm not worried about it. She can handle her own. I've cussed out a ton of people on this app. She's got this. He knows I can handle myself.
What's your plans for the future? Because we know you had a top badge. When it
Yes.
comes to the app, we know you top badge. We know
Yeah.
you lost the top badge, and right now it sounds like from what I gather from the streams and stuff, you no longer
So
desire the
I'll
badge
quickly go
anymore.
through that because I know we kind of went over time. But when I started streaming, I didn't know anything about streaming. I had no idea. So I'm a smoker. I smoke weed. I do have my medical card. It is legal in where I'm at in Chicago, or in the state of Illinois, I should say. So I'm not too worried about it. Plus, my health conditions allowed me to get my medical card because of my endometriosis, because I'm in chronic pain all the time.
Mhm.
Um, with that, the first year, again, I literally just chill and smoke with my people. I never did a battle. I never did an auction. I never did any of that. And I ended up getting like 20 mil my first year. And I was just working. I was just working and streaming. And then I got my top badge. And I got my top badge. Everything changed. You know, I started mingling and with people on the app and getting to know everybody and socializing and whatever. I really stuck in my own stream before that. I was staying in my own stream. The crazy thing is that like I said, I've always been ambitious. I've always been ambitious. So it's like once I get something, I'm like, oh, okay, what's next? You know? And so I sat there with a top badge and I'm like, now what? You know what I'm saying? Like now what? Like I accomplished, you know,
Yeah.
respectfully accomplished, you know, the biggest opportunity on the app. You know, now what? And so I was talking to my people, my viewers, my fans, my my base, and I was like, you know, now what do we do? And I was talking to them about my school. So when I got diagnosed with endometriosis, I had to drop out of school. I was actually in my master's program. I was two classes in and I had to drop out. Well, this was like 4 years ago. you know. 2 years ago, I got my badge, and then I'm looking at my people and I'm telling them, like, man, it'd be really nice to go back to school, kind of finish my master's degree. And they sat there for like 2 months and they were like talking shit to me. My own viewers, they were like talking, why haven't you gone yet? What you waiting for? What's the hold up? I'm like, man, fuck you. So
Right.
anyways, I applied for my master's degree program. It took about a month and a half and I got accepted. I got accepted 4 months after I got my top edge. So it was kind of over with for me. I told Janet, I told all the admin, I'm like, look, I'm not going to be on the app. I'm not going to make my numbers. I want to focus on school. Appreciate the opportunity. The app was only willing to give me a couple of months of extension for my numbers, but they ended up giving me like 4 months instead. And it's just for 4 months straight, I just did not make my numbers. I wasn't on the app. I wasn't on the app. And so finally they took my top edge there. And it wasn't a bad thing either. It was a mutual agreement. Like we talked on the phone. Caesar called me up, this is what it is. And I had told them for months. I said, listen, I'm not on the app. I really don't even deserve this top badge. Give it to somebody who's grinding for it, who's on the app 15 hours a day, getting those diamonds, getting those numbers. Give it to them. When I'm done with school, I'll come back. I'll say hi. I'll see where I'm at. But I did what I had to do, and I went to school. And this was 2 years ago. I'm about to graduate in 52 days. Okay.
Let's go.
Thank you. I'm about to graduate. I'm super excited. This is my last semester of my master's program. This is kind of why I'm kind of back on the app now, because all I'm really doing is working on my thesis and working. So I thought I'd come by and say hi. But respectfully, I don't want the badge back. I love you guys. And I thank y'all for all the admin for the greatest, wonderful opportunity. I appreciate you guys for believing in me when nobody else did. But I respectfully, I made a joke in Janet's podcast the other day. I was like, Janet, what's the requirements for top? She's like 40K, 50K or something like that. I was like, oh, you might as well give it back. You might as well give it back, Janet. Give it back.
Like I'm hitting that. I'm hitting that.
Yeah. So, but I was joking though, bro. I was joking. Like I personally, I don't want my top badge back. It requires a lot of maintenance. There's a lot of things being a top badge that is not brought up on the app. I wish that I would have had somebody to kind of mentor me, mentor me into what the what the real world top badge life is like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And all the back end shit that was gonna go down that I just never knew how to even handle, But I didn't have that. So I just kind of navigated the new world by myself. I made mistakes along the way, and I've said sorries along the way of some of the, inappropriate shit or whatever. But no, I don't want it back. I think I can make
pressed for time, so I am going to take questions from the audience.
Please.
Give me
I could do as good as I did as a top badge without a top badge.
I can ask the questions, or you can type it in the comments. Any questions from the audience?
Maybe not. Maybe I answered a lot. I feel like I answered things.
You really did. You went into details, and this was definitely a good interview. And Don, I believe you had a question.
Yes. How did it feel to open up to roll today?
It was, it was good, man. It was good, because I'm always coming to your stream and kind of following, your life, I guess I would say, but it feels good because I've always been open with my stream, but maybe not to as many people as I could, and there was a lot of misconceptions about me on the app. And so I appreciate your opportunity for having me kind of speak my truth and just give a little background on where I'm at. So I appreciate you. It felt good.
What was the number one misconception of you?
I hated it.
And
it drove me fucking crazy. It drove me crazy because some man that I denied 3 years ago has harassed me for 3 years and edited a video that, you know, is not right. And then I also said things, I said like the N-word with the A, but it was towards G Money as a greeting. However, it was not right. It was not acceptable. And I found out how hurt everybody was by it. So I immediately apologized. I haven't used it since. Bro. You know, it's not something that I like. I actually I defend everybody. I literally defend everybody like a tiger, like a lion bear. Uh, you know what I mean? And I hang
Yeah.
out with everybody. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what color you are. If you're cool, you're cool. And I've said this for, you know, I've said this the entire time.
Feel comfortable to use that word with G
No, G
Money?
Money
Did
said it
G
to me.
Money feel offended?
G Money was like, "What's good, my bro?" I was like, "What's good, my bro?" And it was over with. And then we moved on. Yeah.
Right.
There
Audience
was a
did
lot of
not
viewers that
like
didn't
that.
like it. There was things that I've said in the past to like truly that was not appropriate, things of that nature. Like I said, I've made my mistakes, you know. I mean, I think everybody does, you know. Um I'm not justifying them by any means. They are mistakes. It's not something that I'm proud of. Um you know, however, it's definitely a misconception and it's not true. You know, I hang out with anybody. Y'all want to get a drink? Let me know. You know what I'm saying? I'm in Chicago. You know, on me. You know, because I have friends of everybody. I have family members of everybody. Um, it's something I didn't enjoy, and it was brought. A lot of it was edited videos. A lot of it was because I denied one of the biggest trolls on the app. I literally denied one of the biggest trolls on the app, and he has harassed me for 3 years. You know what I mean? So I got police reports against this man. Um, Another misconception is that I'm a bitch, I guess I would say, which I could be if I needed to, but I'm only an asshole to assholes. Otherwise, I'm a real big sweetheart. I'm very generous. I'm very nice. I like to handle business. You know what I mean? And I like to live a purposeful and fulfilled life. You know? Yeah.
It doesn't look like
There
the audience has
you
any
know, and I just
questions
want to
for
put this
you.
out there.
I do want
If you guys are not
one
comfortable asking the
question.
questions, but you still want to ask questions, you're more than welcome to hit me up in my DMs on IG. Well, hello, Jackie. Hit me up there, and I will answer anybody's questions very honestly, and then we can discuss it there. So,
Okay, real
yeah,
gentlemen. All right. So my last question to you is, what is your greatest accomplishment? Thank you.
man, I would,
It's the
you know,
fella.
I mean, monetary wise, I would say getting my master's degree, you know, because I graduate in about a month and a half. Ethically wise, I would say taking
Period.
care of my family. That is my biggest accomplishment because, you know, I'm a family girl. I love my family. So if I can take care of them, then I've lived a purposeful life to me. So,
What is your biggest regret?
um, you know, one of the things about being, you know, one of the things about, because I'm kind of a people pleaser. I'm a little bit of a people pleaser, believe it or not. And so one of the things about being a people pleaser is a lot of times you you end up putting yourself, like I put myself in some very uncomfortable positions
Mm-hmm.
or situations that I never wanted to be in because of the simple fact is I wanted other people to feel comfortable. I wanted other people to feel happy, you know, but in turn that fucked with my happiness, you know. And so one of the things that I regret a little bit is, you know, sometimes I should have put myself first. I should have put myself first and I should have thought about my feelings and my comfortability in a situation and make sure I was happy, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, when you look back at life and you look at your bucket list, and you think about all the things that you wanted to do, and you know, you want to make sure that you lived a happy life. You know, don't take the small things for granted. I think that was my biggest thing. Just don't take the small things for granted. Look at everything with a positive and negative. Really open your eyes to how many blessings you have in your life. You know, there's a lot of things that I used to take for granted just because I was young. You know, my parents were poor, but I used to talk shit about it. You know, now I look back as an adult and I'm like, wait a minute, they did their best. They did the best that they possibly can. My dad worked 3 jobs, was never home. You know, he did the best that he possibly can. So just don't take anything for granted. You never know what people are going through. Um, you know, and you know, don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about yourself. You got to take care of yourself before you take care of others. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah. Yeah.
Like that, like that. One more time, going once, going twice. Any questions from the audience? I believe
I'm
gentleman said,
sorry.
"Why
What
were
was the
you a
question?
people pleaser?" Yeah, why
Oh,
were
I
you
like
a
making
people
people
pleaser?
happy. I like making people smile. Man, the world is shit enough, you know? The world is garbage enough. We have
Are
enough.
you
We
still a people pleaser, or do you aim to please yourself now?
I'm a little bit more selfish now, you know, because I'm 35. We lived half of our lives already, you know. At this point, it's kind of like I need to focus a little bit more on myself now, you know. But I just wanted to make sure that the people around me was happy and make sure that they're taken care of. I mean, because you know, to me, that's my purpose in life is to take care of my family. That's my
So, question from Medusa: would you consider adopting children?
yes. Actually, at the end of the year, after I graduate and get a couple things situated, I'm going to start looking into adoption. So I can, even though I have endometriosis, I can still have kids. I still have my right ovary. Everything is normal, and I'm at the best health I've ever been in, to be honest with you. So I can still have kids. And I know I can get pregnant because I got pregnant before, but I had a miscarriage. So I know it's possible, you know, but it's only going to be possible with God's willing. I don't know what you guys believe in, but, you know, I just got to keep praying. And, uh, and if I don't have a family by the end of the year, baby, we're going to go adopt. We're going to go adopt because there's too many out there
Right.
in the world that don't have families. And I,
Pretty. Ask what made you get so slick with the mouth.
because I'll tell you what, a lot of people took advantage of the fact that I was a top edge and I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't because as a top badge, you have to worry about the badge. You gotta worry about your reputation and about representing the app in a positive manner. And because of that, a lot of people took advantage of me and used me and beat on me and talked shit to me. And I never said shit. And I never said a fucking thing. I never said a word to nobody. And finally, after, I mean, there's so many times people can get beat on PDA. You know what I'm saying? There's so many times people can get beat on before you're like, listen, bitch. Okay. It's on like Donkey Kong, you know? But that was why. Because people took advantage of me. People were, yeah. Like when I had my miscarriage, they talked about how I was jealous of other people being a mother. I had a dead wound, half a woman. You might as well be a man. I mean, there was something that broke inside of me. I'm not going to lie to y'all. You know, when I lost that child, it killed me. And the fact that everybody like breadwinners on the app telling me, oh man, it's a good thing your baby died. Oh, it's a good thing you couldn't be a mother. Oh, I hope your kids get raped. I've had Peter Parker tell me, I hope your father touches you. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything. And that's one of the reasons I don't want a top badge. I don't. Because I want to be able to defend myself. I want to be able to defend myself to the appropriate manner because respectfully, the app did not do shit for me when I was a top badge. You guys did not protect me whatsoever. You did not stand up for any of your top badges. You let these fucking losers berate us on all kinds of personal levels, and you didn't do shit. So no, I don't want my top badge back. I'm good where I'm at. I'm gonna tell these motherfuckers to go fuck off as many times as I want to. Because it is inappropriate, the type of shit that went on this app and that was allowed on this app to take place. So,
All right, last question from the audience, and it's how do you defend against the many trolls on
Now
here
you can
now?
block and block and block and block. I'm gonna say that a million times. And it sounds crazy, bro, but you have to block them. You have to block them. They're never gonna go away. And I know that for a fact. Now over the years, because I've went off on probably half of the fucking app, there's not a lot of people that fuck with me anymore because they know that they just can't. You know what I'm saying? I just don't give a fuck. You know? I just don't care anymore, you know. But it's blocking. It's really honestly blocking and making sure you have your mental space outside of the app. You have to get off the app and get a mental space. A lot of the times I just kept rolling with it. I just kept, man, 14 hours, 15 hours on the app, back and forth. And it fucked with me. And it really did, you know.
All right, last question now, because that's a really good question. Has the app changed you for the good or the bad?
Hmm. You know, I think for the good. I mean, there's goods and bads in everything, but the majority of it I think is good. You know, because without my supporters, I would not be in my master's program. You know, without my viewers and all the love I got, I wouldn't even be where I'm at right now. I'd be where the fuck I was at when I first started the app, which was in debt and out of a divorce and in a bad mental place. You know, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably would have offed myself 3 years ago. And I'm not even kidding with you. If it wasn't for some of the people that I met on this app. Yeah, and I always say this. And I always say this and I'll say it again. 90% of people on this app is shit, straight garbage. But the 10% that you meet on here that they love on you and support you and will fucking take a bullet for you. I love them. I love these people with all my heart. And they're the reasons that I keep
Or
going.
just put a one in the comments if y'all would just take a bullet if need be.
Bro, let's go, bro. You ever come to Chicago, dog? Let's
Okay.
go.
Got it. To congratulations on being the 10%.
Yeah, top 10, baby. Top 10.
Everybody put that one.
Yes.
Congratulations
Yes.
on being that
So,
10%, y'all.
you
Y'all listen, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Well Hello exclusive interview.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Well Hello. Is there anything you want to promote, like when you stream or
Thank
anything,
you.
please?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to be on here. Respectfully, I'm actually going to be getting off the app. I'm going to take my own personal mental break. I have 54 days to finish off this semester. And so this is kind of going to be my last little hurrah before I delete it. I just wanted to make sure to finish off my school. I'll be back in the summertime. You know, I'll probably be looking around on streams every once in a while. But just catch me in the summertime when I come back. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be here on Thursdays. Y'all know I'll be here on Thursdays talking my shit. Y'all know I come here with lists.
Y'all give it up for Well Hello one more time, y'all. Thank you so much, Well Hello. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to exclusive interviews. We interviewed General Freezy, and then we also interviewed Well Hello. Please tap in with them. Please make sure you favorite them. Okay, she did say I didn't even hit that button. This is crazy. And that button's way up there.
No,
That's
you're
crazy.
good. You're good.
Okay, my bad. Excuse me. Okay. You
Hey,
know what I'm
hey,
saying?
it's
I'm
all
glad
from
I didn't
it's
hear
all
this.
from Dinah's
Ooh.
chicken seasoning, y'all. Make sure you go website and get that
Ah!
chicken seasoning that she got over there. It's good shit. Obviously, compliments to the chef. Yeah.
Yes, make sure.
Thank you for having me, y'all. See you guys
Okay.
later.
Y'all know TikTok.
Hmm.
Y'all can find it on Amazon, y'all. So TikTok, Amazon, every Zon, her DMs, everywhere. Everywhere, y'all. Her seasoning is everywhere. And it's in some local supermarkets too, y'all. So make sure you go to the supermarkets, ask for it, okay? Show them what it is so they know exactly what it is and they can order some as well. Anyway, with that being said, y'all, if you would like to be a part of exclusive interview, please make sure you hit up Royal Badge Medusa. Okay, he does all the scheduling for our exclusive interviews. So if you would like to see someone dope on this show, you can hit him up and suggest that he gets someone on this show as well. So please start thinking of the people you would like to see on the show. I do want to say congratulations. We did get a few orders while we were on vacation. I believe one of those people who placed an order because he stated he can't wait for his hat to come. I believe that was Kenny Red. Okay. Now, I know Donna tried to clown him yesterday because he gifted her his stuff. Shout outs to Kenny Red. If that was actually you, because I'm not going to give no government names or whatever, but if that was actually you, thank you for making a purchase on Kenny Red Eye. Yeah. Thank you for making a purchase on the app. If you're still here, we was going to celebrate it, but it don't look like he's here, so later on we'll celebrate it, y'all. And thank y'all for bearing with me. I know I logged in 3 minutes late, but guys, listen, I don't know what I ate. I don't know what happened, but I had a stomach virus. I was throwing up all this morning, y'all. I'm telling you, like, it would not stop. So something I ate out here, you know, I'm in these Miami streets. And yeah, I had one drink. Could it have been the drink? I don't know. But the way my stomach was feeling, so you see me sitting here with